They separate us from our neighbors and they call it social distancing. It's actually a bigger plan, it's called social conditioning. They took away our privacy, there's always someone listening. They're rigging the elections, planning riots for the citizens. The government has always lied, it's history repeating. But the problem is the schools dumb you down so you believe them. If you try to speak the truth inside a tweet, then they delete it. Whole administration Satanists who claim they praise in Jesus. Every year there's a new name for enemies that we're facing. It's Al-Qaeda, then ISIS, and now American Patriots. Who would have thought those who love the country the most would be hated on by folks who call America home? Both political parties are equally just as evil. They've been working for themselves, don't give a damn about the people. Black, white, yellow, brown, humanity needs you. Cause united we stand, divided they will defeat you. The man on the news says the problem is me. I'm just a small town boy with big American dreams.
Good morning. I am Anatolian Angelisova, and this is Patriots Must Rise. There is a lot going on, so let's talk about it. We have a lot to deal with today. Yesterday, Merrick Garland put a masterful move on the table to interfere in our 24 election, and we certainly need to talk about it. We are far beyond any kind of peaceful resolution to this election fraud, corruption. So we just need to face the facts. And let's talk about the facts.
Don't hold your breath over this special counsel for Hunter Biden. Let's do this. There are no such thing as coincidences in Washington, D.C.
I'm here today to announce the appointment of David Weiss as a special counsel, consistent with the Department of Justice regulations governing such matters.
Oh, really? On the day that Hunter Biden's plea deal was set to expire, Merrick Garland appoints his loyal pal David Weiss.
I'm telling you, I cannot make this stuff up. David Weiss, the American attorney, or United States attorney, okay?
TA.
From Delaware, Biden's home state, was appointed, Biden's home state, okay? The home state of the Biden crime syndicate has been appointed special counsel by the corrupted attorney general in name only, to keep investigating Hunter Biden. No. He's investigating Hunter Biden so the press can't talk about Hunter Biden while the election is going on. Okay, this is in blatant election interference, and the corruption is so blatant, and the Democrats don't seem to care anymore, that we know that it is time to stand up, lock and load, put the freaking idiots in your sights and blow their heads off. That's just the only way we're ever going to see justice in America again, because this has become a third world country. Why is it that we allowed this to happen? I know the feminist movement got hijacked by corruption. And I used to say that all these problems started when women were allowed to vote. Which, if you look historically, that's exactly what happened. but the corruption is much deeper than just gender. Okay? We have to do something about this. Alright. Greg Kelly has something to say about Trump's indictment, and we'll go from there.
The trial date for President Trump for all this phony January 6th stuff is January 2nd, 2024. Less than 2 weeks before the Iowa caucuses. You think they're trying to influence the next election? This is almost comical. It's tragic and horrifying at the same time. It's just, wow. And listen to their self-righteousness in their request. The government requested this. Jack Smith requested this date. Yeah, respectfully requests the court to set the trial to begin on January 2nd, 2024. Why? The government's proposed trial date represents an appropriate balance of the defendant's right to prepare a defense and the public's strong interest in a speedy trial in the case. This is not about the defendant's rights. They let 36 months go by. It's 3 years since January 6th when this trial would take place. And what has that go? The public's interest in a speedy trial. It's really about the defendant. It's up to the defendant. So this is it in black and white, as if we needed more proof that this is a threat to democracy. They are trying to destroy President Trump. Half the country at least wants him to be president. Donald Trump reacted, as he should, brilliantly just a little while ago. That's a lot of words. And they're all awesome. Deranged Jack Smith has just asked for a trial on the Biden indictment to take place on January 2nd, just ahead of the important Iowa caucuses. Only an out-of-touch lunatic would ask for such a date, 1 day into the new year, and maximum election interference with Iowa.
My people of this country, and we're under attack. They banning us, they cancel us for speaking the facts. If you man enough, come stand with us, take USA back.
I believe that the real reason, well, obviously, January 6th became a very powerful tool to maybe get rid of a political opponent that would be a major thorn in the side of the Democrat Party. But I honestly believe that January 6th represents much more than that. And it should. Because, like it or not, people have forgotten their position in America. And January 6th should have reminded them. We elect officials to work for us. We don't work for them. Hell, we're paying their salary. And I honestly don't believe that they should be paid. It should be a volunteer position. But we're paying their salary. Their position exists for the sole purpose of protecting our borders, and that's the only reason the federal government exists. That was outlined in the Federalist Papers 10, 9, 5, and 2, mostly written by Hamilton. It should be mandatory reading for anybody that calls themselves an American, but hey, we have Democrats. If they're not willing to protect the borders, the federal government has no reason to exist, and we have no reason to pay their taxes. All right. And the manifestation of January 6th was a rude awakening to the people that got complacent on Capitol Hill. How dare you steal an election? How dare you think that you know better, what's better for us than we do? And that terrifies them, because they thought that they had control over us. That's what COVID was all about. The ridiculous lockdowns, telling us when to work, where to stand, how to dress. That's what it was all about. Had absolutely nothing to do with the fucking virus. The virus was fake. It was manufactured by Anthony Fauci, who should be brought up on war crimes and burned at the stake, or at least put a bag over his head filled with termites and let him go the way of the beagle puppies that he tortured to death. Because I honestly think that should be his punishment, just for karma's sake. But when all is said and done, anything that Trump said wouldn't have been relevant in the moment. I mean, he said, go to the Capitol peacefully and patriotically and let your will be known. Well, guess what? They already knew our will. They knew that Joe Biden didn't win. He was installed by them intentionally because Donald Trump was a threat to everything that they represent. And that is really why we still have the constant rhetoric about January 6th. They're trying to make people afraid of actually speaking out against the will of the establishment. Well, I'm more than happy to speak out against the will of the establishment. Hell, I open up every courtroom that I go into with this statement: Your Honor, with all due respect, I have no respect for you. I have nothing but contempt for you. You can put me in a cell, but by the time I get done speaking, you will realize that I'm right. And most of the time it works. I have been put in a cell several times, but I'm proud of that fact, because they work for us. And they need to realize it. They need to be reminded of it. And they need to starve if they do not realize it. Thank you for listening, watching our podcast. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you do, I hope you consider donating. Information is in the production notes of this episode in the podcast. One thing that needs to be mentioned, and I'm sure that other people have mentioned it, is the fact that Joe Biden and the Democrat Party make this country look so weak that we are wide open for invasion. We've got spineless... We don't have a leadership in America right now. Basically because we have a bunch of woke-tards that are trying to destroy America, and I believe it's on purpose. I don't understand that, but it is impossible to deny. I mean, come on, the very first thing that Joe Biden did when he came into office was shut down a pipeline. Thousands of jobs, hundreds of thousands of jobs, eliminated with a stroke of a pen because he wants to go with ESG. That man should have had his throat slit right there. Many in America believe that the two-party system is a total fraud, that they're all just working for their own unspoken agenda, and we have to take it or leave it. I honestly believe that every election is literally a fight between good and evil. The Democrats have always been, in my mind, the founders of the Ku Klux Klan, the funders of death camps like Auschwitz-Birkenau, the inspiration for the Nazi movement in World War II's Nazi history, or Nazi Germany, and the party of hypocrites, liars, and absolute morons. Because anybody that actually believes any of their rhetoric has to have negative IQs. So you can take it or leave it, but in my mind, we don't have a choice but to eliminate any possibility of any Democrat ever being elected again. I am not necessarily in favor of a Republican, but I'm not in favor of government in general. I believe the corruption is stemmed from the existence of government. But if we have to have a system, we should have one that's actually going to abide by the restrictions on government that the Constitution actually puts in place. The Democrats have always wanted to destroy the Constitution because of the fact that it puts restrictions on government. That's exactly why the Constitution exists. Yes, it puts restrictions on government. So you have a right to shoot the federal marshal that's trying to break down your door when you know flat out that all he's trying to do is rape your wife. You have a right to protect your property. You have a right to protect your sovereignty, and you have a right to protect your family. You have a right to protect your religion. You do not have a right to impose anything on anybody else. And that's exactly what government does. By its very existence, it is the epiphany of all that is wrong in the human psyche. But at the same time, people say we need it. I don't believe that, and I don't believe anybody should. I believe that if people were actually doing the right thing and minding their own business and just trying to get along in life, helping their neighbor and so on, we wouldn't need a government at all. So you can take that for what it is. That's what I have today. I think you know how I would support this election. I obviously would never support a Democrat. I do not believe in Trump because he sold America out by keeping Hillary Clinton alive. But he is probably the only one that is running that actually has a chance to get anything done and to reverse all the damage that the Democrat Party has done in this election cycle. So you can take that as you will. That's what I have today. Live free, die well, and treat your neighbor, or love your neighbor, as Christ has loved you. Unless you're a Democrat and then expect to get a hammer in your head, because that's what you deserve. Okay, I'm Anatoly Anatoly. The echo in the background is my wife, Susan. All right. Have a good day.